Welcome to you all to twitch.tv/Wensleydale Cheddar. I didn't know where I was going with this. This is Stammer stream, manga podcast, and speech therapy combined. I'm your stammering host, Wensleydale Cheddar, here alongside your non-stammering hosts, KastorUK, HovinwithanH, and Greil9. How are you guys doing this week?
Not bad. I just last night stayed up late with my friends and we watched the Mirai Nikki OVA, like the Future Diary one.
Oh.
And he's a huge fan of Future Diary.
Oh.
So for so long I'd only really known, like, the last opinion I'd heard on it was Chris and Nick from Weekly Manga Recap. And now I'm just sitting there with this guy just like, oh, I love Yuno! Yeah, this is amazing! Oh! And he's like so enthusiastic about it. It was quite funny.
I just remember...
You know crazy people.
Was Yuno the guy or the girl?
Yuno's the girl.
Okay.
Yuno's the stalker. I think we can just leave it at that.
Yeah.
Interdimensional, possibly God stalker.
Yeah, no, the OVA covers her journey to try and get back to his dimension. From the one she got trapped in, and at the end she gets to it. And the whole time he was like, "Yes, go, Yuno, you can do it! Yay!"
Yay, go stalk that guy, and give him Stockholm syndrome, and make him fall in love with you.
I think,
a romantic relationship.
I think the thing is,
that's how it goes.
For all I can say against the series, there was just something quite endearing watching someone with such a passion for a work just really enjoy it and like gush about it.
Yeah, I can see that. Like,
But yeah, that's
like,
been my
mental
reason.
help, but sure.
So do we
Well,
have a sucker
I, on the other hand, have...
Yeah?
I, on the other hand, have spent my weekend playing Dragon Ball Fighter Z. I mean, I still do think that from a modern standards, Dragon Ball is not a very good manga, but it's still got a place in my heart for the nostalgia alone.
Yeah.
Plus, its arc system works, and those guys do their fighting games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dragon Ball does not hold up to very, very well against modern manga, but it made modern manga. Like, modern manga all built themselves on Dragon Ball,
Yeah,
shown in battle at least.
I disagree in the sense that I think Dragon Ball has a lot of just... There's a lot of just base appeal charm to me about it. And, like, because I got into it quite recently, and I found it very easy to get through. I really like original Dragon Ball, like, and I also kind of enjoy Z and Super, but not as much, for different reasons.
I
Yeah,
maybe
It's
wouldn't
not
consider
built, but
Toriyama a very good conscious artist, if I could say so. Well, he said that he enjoys manga on the same level he enjoys porn. For Christ's sake, he doesn't think about it all very much.
That's a great quote.
but I read Dragon Ball quite recently, without any nostalgia value, and I quite enjoyed it as well. So nothing against the manga
I did
itself.
that about a few months back, but what really got to me was how basic the panel layouts are.
Okay, I've only actually seen the anime, so...
Same. And it's great, and I enjoy the fights, and it's, like, the writing's clever, but every time I go through the Cell Saga, and just looking at it from the narrative perspective, it's like, wow, I'm amazed this actually came to a conclusion, how many times you chopped and changed, and had to rework different storylines. And
That was me in the Boo Saga, and like how they kept on changing it to, okay, Gohan is carrying the torch now. No, it has to be the twins. Not the twins. It has to be Gotenks. The fusion. And oh no, actually, it has to be Mystic Gohan. Actually, no, let's just have Goku solve it all at the end.
I quite enjoyed
so
both sagas, but yeah, it's not. It's best not to think too seriously about Dragon Ball. Maybe.
Like for me, the two best parts of the franchise for me are original Dragon Ball and the Battle of Gods. Like I like both of those better than Z.
yeah,
Agreed 100%.
I am enjoying the universe battle fight, because it's literally Should we just have episode after episode of people fighting strong people with cool moves and absurdly high stakes,
Yeah.
massive power-ups that come out of nowhere, and better?
I'm just watching the dub, so I'm still. We've just gotten to Goku Black.
Okay, I feel sorry for you. Once we get to the Universe of Power, it will be great. Goku
Yeah.
Black was weird, didn't make sense, and went on for far too long.
Right.
So, should we get to manga that's still ongoing? I mean,
Yeah, that's-
technically through Dragon Ball Super, but shut up.
Yeah,
Dragon Ball Super's in the. Yeah. Dragon Ball Super's in the free Viz stuff, so it's a bit different.
Well, let's try to read some manga that we usually discuss anyway. Starting up with, unfortunately, One Piece is on break this week. So, Food Wars Shokugeki no Soma, chapter 247. So guys,
I can talk about the first
as
half
we've
of it.
established last week, we are starting the recaps with our opinion on the chapter overall. So I found this chapter pretty decent. How about you?
Yeah, I thought it was okay. And my my opinion on last chapter is thick thighs save lives. Because I wasn't here last week.
Oh god.
I would say that, aside Erina's character development, showing just how far she's come, I have no real opinion. I mean, that's partially because I'm just not that into Food Wars anyway.
I think it did an okay job of a bad situation. Like, none of the things I think about this chapter are from this chapter. In a vacuum, it's fine. For the first half, at least. I don't want to talk about.
Well,
the second half.
even the lolly food
No, that's
gasm
the bit
shot.
I'm not
No,
talking about.
the lolly baiting is
No.
squicky.
What the?
Ah.
No, let's. I keep trying to pretend that didn't happen in this chapter. That was Japan. But no, the rest of it's fine. The bit I didn't like is where it's just like, Todoroki inspired my dish. It's like, that's one of the better ways you could have done this. It's still a kick in
Okay,
the
yeah,
you couldn't do it herself.
I actually really like that because it slightly makes up for the last thing for me, the
I agree,
resolution of that slightly, just because I do like that element of I lost, but you know the groundwork that I left through losing, and what I managed to lay the groundwork for the next person to win.
Well, I have a complaint about that, actually, because I know it's kind of the theme of the regimental Shokugeki, the combined force of the masses versus the individual. And I do like it, I do like that theme, but isn't this like the fifth Shokugeki whose twist is, I used something that my teammate or the Polaris Dome inspired me to? Didn't we just have with this, with Soma versus Some? Didn't we have
but
this
this
with
time
Ishiki?
actually worked. No, yeah, I completely agree, but this is the first time I've seen it done effectively, so I'm just like, oh, this is okay.
I kind of liked it in Soma versus Some.
No, fair enough. I thought the rest of the attempts to try and make it work. We work together was forced and terrible.
So
We
I did
try
like
really
Erina's
hard not to talk about the rest of this chapter.
There is one more thing I gotta say, I guess. So, which is, I think at this point, there's not really anything we can do but have the good guys lose, because at this point, having either Rindo or Tsukasa get jobbed would just completely it would completely kill them as any conceivable threat.
Yeah, I mean, we know that. I hope that they at least do the thing was it the second round when Tsukasa first fought?
I think so. Yeah, he fought.
That one, you knew
Spice
that
Man.
him and Rindo were going to win. There was no way they'd lose, but they still built it up well enough that you thought maybe there's a chance Tsukasa would lose.
I mean,
consciously you knew it wasn't going to happen, but it did a good enough job that you still had that tingling bit in the back of your mind.
Also, apart from anything else, we still don't know how Rindo beat the guy who did
The ramen guy.
Was he the ramen guy?
Yeah,
and, like,
because
I'm like, is that gonna play back into this?
Yeah.
Please.
The thing is, the reason that those two are so big is the two things I've disliked possibly the most out of this entire tournament. In that the cut to black anytime it's like, what does Rindo do? We don't know. Ooh, it's mysterious. Could be the author's got no idea what to do with her. And also, where they made Tsukasa, like the tinge of fear, like could he lose, was because they rewrote half of Kuga's character, skipped an entire arc of development to be like, well, he's magically come such a long way that I have no idea if he can win or not because it doesn't make sense anymore.
I mean, actually, maybe at this point I would be open to. I mean, if it's written well, to Tsukasa and Rindo, maybe just losing, but because at least it would have some sort of an element of surprise. Because thus far, I think we can all agree that the results of all the matches have been a bit predictable.
Yeah. Just have Rendo one-sidedly beat Aldini. Just to get rid
And
of
do
him.
it in another cut to black, just because fuck it. At that point, that would be like 3 times. Like it's a running joke now. Just never see Rindo cook.
Just no.
I
Just
mean,
like
we
she
did
no.
see him cook
No,
again.
like
It
the
just
whole,
becomes
no,
a
it's
gimmick.
not. No, just like every time that the judge tries her meal, they just put like a black curtain, like someone gets a black curtain and just puts it over them, so
Yeah.
you can't see them.
Just
How do you win,
just
Rindo?
Blackbeard comes in and woo! I will now absorb the devil fruit abilities.
Yeah, Rindo, how do you win every time? My secret ingredient is water. Just simple water. Laced with LSD.
But you do remember that we did see
secret
Rindo fight
ingredient-
against that ramen dude whose name I forgot, right?
Yeah.
When she had her alligator.
Oh yeah, no,
She
we
killed
saw
that
her.
alligator
We saw
and
no,
back
we
again.
saw her cook and prepare the alligator. We didn't see her actual dish and like what it was like.
Yeah.
Pretty
She
sure
just
we did.
butchered an
We just didn't
alligator
see the
in a really
judge
weird
reaction
flip-flop
to
of
it.
emotion.
I think we just had Megishima lose, and yeah, that was it.
We don't really
Yeah.
see how.
Yeah.
Well, I did like Erena's development though. It kind of reminded me of Kageyama from Haikyuu.
Yeah, and her little JoJo's pose.
Mm. Yeah.
That was neat.
By the way, you know the reveal at the end of this chapter is like, it's a matchup for the other two. Isn't this only a reveal because they've been really, really weird about telling us what the matches are going to be up until now?
I mean, I'm not sure this is meant to be like. I think this just. I don't think this is meant to be a surprise. It's just like this is what's coming next. Cool. Get ready for this next week, kids.
Yeah, it's just ending up on the idea of, we've been really mysterious about who these fights are going to be, and it's what you were expecting. Okay. Do we know what ingredients they have? No, not really. One of them is using wine, the other one's cutting stuff up, so...
I mean, I don't really mind not knowing everything from the get-go, because it works fine.
I
Like,
don't
that's
really
at
remember
least-
what happens in Food Wars from week to week, so I can't really.
That too.
Some girls get naked, or don't, or it's in our heads.
Or it's a part of their genes that they will just naturally get naked when they have a foodgasm, and we'll have no idea how it happened.
When it was revealed that was an actual thing that happened, it wasn't just an image in their head. It was no. If a member of the family eats, they will not only get naked, but make everyone around them magically get naked as well.
And it was like two 14-year-old girls or something as well.
Yeah. We were being really creepily pet play with some honey. Food Wars is a weird. Yeah, no, Food Wars is weird.
So there's something else that I wanted to talk about. So I wanted to ask you guys because you two Brits read the official release, I believe. There is a sort of a pun made by Erina, but something that makes Megumi tear up at the very end, and it's something to do with her name meaning grace, and
It's actually French, but yeah,
okay.
she gave it a French name, and it's a really roundabout way that actually needs to be explained, in that she called it essentially light souffle of by
The Japanese
Grace.
word for it is Megumi.
Yeah, and both Grace Trends and Megami have the same root meaning blessing in different languages.
Okay.
So it's like light souffle by Megami.
Yeah,
It-
I think okay. I've got an actual complaint. The fact that they give like the idea of Megami's dish set up for it, and they show a segment of the visual of it being like a boxing match. That rather than having a lolly foodgasm, why didn't they just have it be a continuation of the boxing metaphor with like I don't know, Erina taking her place like in the ring?
Yeah, stepping in.
Because Japanese
Because
teenage
it's
boys.
Japan.
Fuck's sake.
Yeah, no, that was, yeah, it was another thing of just like, yes, Megami said it was a really good one, done by a competent chef. It could have won. Just like, wow, this is not as endearing as I think you mean it to be.
Yeah, I was asking about the pun thing, because we have basically the same thing later in Naruyuki's name is used the same way in We Never Learn at the end, I think so.
Okay,
Yeah.
I didn't pick up on it.
Okay.
All right.
Maybe it's different in.
We'll get to that when we get to that, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, shall we move on to My Chav Academia, chapter 169? Is it 67?
How you
Yeah,
doing,
let's.
fam?
Now I can actually talk about something.
All right then. So, I like the chapter. How about you guys?
Yeah,
I love the chapter.
yeah, same. I did enjoy it.
It was weird.
It was at points, but I still really love this chapter for the development.
Like My Hero
The characters,
Academia
like, they were
is
not
like
good
clearly
yet.
going for a more slice of life-ish segment with the cast, and I quite like that.
Yeah.
I mean, it does well when it goes for those parts. Like, you remember
Also,
the chapter right after the tournament arc?
mm,
So I believe you guys were talking about the end. I would like to say that overall I like this little arc, and it'll be saying goodbye to these Shiketsu guys, especially Kami the Chav. Also really endeared herself
I guess
to
we
me.
did read the same chapter because we're not saying goodbye to them. They did talk. They said clearly that they're doing more joint training sessions.
Oh,
So these
okay.
guys
Well,
are gonna come
yeah.
back.
Oh, okay.
Also, I'm very confused. She's
About
definitely
what?
a valley girl and not a chav.
no, in this translation, like in some translations, they had us saying like, "Oh, what I don't know. Gee, I don't know, fam." So
Yeah.
that's why people are making the
Okay.
chat thing.
Okay,
Look at TBH, Bakugo.
TBH.
Yeah,
fair enough. No, yeah.
salty AF.
But the bit I like in this chapter is the possibility.
Salty, yes. Salty AF was what that curious cat asker who I insulted 7 Deadly Sins in front of is.
Yeah, the one that says you don't like any shonen.
Hovin, the famous shonen hater who talks about it on a podcast every week.
You get I must say you get really polarizing reactions to your manga taste.
I know. Oh.
It's mostly because all anime societies at university are crazy.
I don't know if this is even someone from my anime society. It could just be some guy from the internet. Like,
They're doubly crazy.
yeah.
So should we go back to the chapter because
Yeah.
we are
Yeah.
probably confusing most people who are listening to this.
Yeah,
All
okay.
three
of
So
them.
let's get to the meat of the chapter. Aoyama, guys. The traitor or an obvious red herring?
Over quite a few bits.
Well, yeah, that's not the meat of the chapter. Endeavor possible redemption arc. Also, the other school is possibly being taught by Hitler. I'm not entirely sure.
What?
Have you? Every time the teacher of the other school is shown, if I could draw a moustache.
I
You
mean,
get a better look.
in a way, you can change someone's facial features so that you can change anyone into Hitler.
Yeah, but
In a way.
it's the hair and expression.
I mean,
it's just a really weird thing to
wouldn't
see, I
Night
think,
Eye
but-
be a better
like-
Hitler?
Hmm?
Wouldn't Night Eye be a better Hitler?
Yeah,
He's-
but he's
Really,
dead.
he was thinking Japanese.
Yeah.
He's dead,
I think-
so the comparison is better.
Okay.
Oh god, that was a low blow.
Okay, shall we
on a
talk
com-
about? Okay.
I really liked with the Shoto Endeavor interaction how it's still really awkward between them.
Yes.
Like it's not like everything is better now. It's like we could slowly mend things from here.
Yeah.
It's interesting. I want to see the Endeavor attempted redemption arc because it could be really interesting. It could also be far too short and being given in too quickly. But I'm interested to see where it goes. And with the start of Todoroki just like, no, fuck you. It'll be interesting to see where this goes.
Well,
I'm going to be interested to see if they can end it anywhere else than Endeavor's death and for it to be satisfying.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he was
overall
probably the
he'll have
last
to.
guy I expected redemption from who wasn't a straight up villain.
I think my favorite panel in this whole chapter is probably when they're doing the maths problem and Tokoyami just goes, "It's even stumping Yaoyorozu, our ace student, truly an integral of darkness."
Yeah, I mean, that
How
guy
old
is
are
such
these
a
kids?
dork. But
I
I
love
him for it.
Tokoyami so much.
How old are these kids, by the way? How old are they met? Like 15?
Like 16-ish,
16,
15-ish,
somewhere
yeah.
around that.
Like, that
16.
is difficult calculus to be chucking at 16-year-olds, especially when half the time is spent punching each other in gym.
Japan.
Hey,
And even they tell that it's pretty much just because the teacher is kind of getting too into his hobby.
yeah.
Like, this isn't something that they should have in the curriculum. Ectoplasm is probably just really math enthusiastic and kind of applies it too much.
Because that's
what's the
exponential
wind
chain
guy's
rule
name?
integration. That's difficult shit.
Yeah, that's difficult shit. Remembering what's the wind guy's name from Shiketsu.
Yoyarashi.
Yeah, my favorite panel is possibly him just punching himself in the face for no reason, just to motivate himself to say something positive to Endeavor. Just character development.
I've
Yeah.
no idea what that means. It just happened, and my face was just like Cammy's in the background, just like, what the fuck? Okay.
I think this is just meant to be like the thing that Chrome did to motivate himself to go with Senka to retrieve the sulfuric acid, but yeah, instead of just that, he just punches himself in the face because it's more extreme.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Should we
then
talk
get
about the
also
weird-
small bits about Eri and that?
Oh yeah.
But should we talk about possible theories for Aoyama?
Yeah.
I'm leaning towards he's not the mole.
I mean, I read scans for the next week already, but I will still share my thoughts of what I thought before that. Like, I thought maybe he has a crush on Midoriya. Like, he's just
That's
not very
possible.
socially apt and doesn't know how to express it properly.
It's possible, but I don't think the manga would frame it that way, because so far, yes, it seems quite ominous, and so far Horikoshi has been pretty positive to the LGBT community.
I honestly just thought it's Aoyama. He's generally absurdly weird, and I do not understand him. Okay,
Yeah,
that's
just stopping
terrifying.
someone outside their window isn't really that normal.
I
You-
don't.
It's No.
It was obviously a thing of just like, hey, remember there's a spy in here. Isn't this creepy? Doesn't it remind us that if Aoyama is the spy, and how the fuck is he not being caught? Like,
Because he's just too weird, so everyone tries to ignore him.
Yeah, it's just normalizing weird behavior, basically. It happens in the real world quite frequently. And the ending note, from Horikoshi, everyone, thanks for waiting. At last, that man makes his move. Kind of suggests that maybe he is.
Yeah, but I do not think he is the spy.
Yeah, it's far too heavy-handed.
Maybe. I mean, he's certainly not a lot of people would expect to be the traitor, and I'm all for seemingly comic relief characters gaining depth. He's also been shown to be incredibly perceptive when it comes to people's feelings, which is definitely a good quality for a spy.
I had the impression he'd gotten it wrong most of the time. He's repeatedly tried to be perceptive, and comedically fucked it up.
Well,
also,
Uraraka. It may be.
That was one example, but I'm pretty sure half of the class they were joking about could see.
Yeah. It would maybe also expect why he was hesitant to join in the battle against the League of Villains in the training arc, but he ultimately did, which, if he was a spy, would open a path for a future redemption. But I don't know, it's interesting. I can't recall how much introspection we've had from him in the training arc.
You know, it's all been outside his head. He's just been a weirdo.
Okay.
It would be, I'd agree, it would be interesting, but it would be a swerve for the sake of a swerve, which in the moment is fun. Just like, oh, I never saw that coming. But if you reflect on it, it's like, well, that was bullshit. We had no way of guessing it because you never told us. It's like, oh yeah, and the butler did it, but we've never met the butler before. That's because he was in France.
I would say that's just the fact that he didn't join the battle. We presume the fact that it was because he was just cowering in fear, because he's not very brave. But it could be just because he was conflicted.
If that's true, it would mean his entire character, as presented so far, is a complete farce, and therefore we do not know the real Aoyama. So his reveal as becoming I've been fake all along is like, okay, we had no way of possibly knowing this. So, okay, I guess you're the villain now. Cool?
I don't know.
No, I will also say that my memory isn't perfect on this, but during the provisional hero license exam, didn't we get some glimpse into his headspace which would hint him not being the villain?
I believe it was a monologue giving to Ida. I believe it was spoken.
No, I'm pretty sure there was some part of it that he just thought to himself, but like I said, I can't remember it fully since it was just one chapter.
Yeah, we'd have to read a lot to kind of see if it makes sense.
And I honestly don't think it's worth it.
You don't think reading My Hero is worth it?
I don't think rereading the entirety, trying to pick up the cues for Aoyama being the secret mastermind spy is worth it because he's just a weirdo.
Yeah, only one that I can really remember was during the invasion of the at the start on UA. He was like, "Everyone, you want to know where I was?" Everyone's ignoring him. When someone finally asks,
I was betraying you.
It's a secret, and then everyone goes back to ignoring him.
Yeah, and if it's one example in 167 chapters, and the example was 100 chapters ago before we even knew there was a spy, that is bad writing.
I mean, I'll be rereading the Polish volume, so yeah, I'll let you know if I pick up on anything.
Cool. I like the art. It's a very good panel.
Anything else to mention here? Or shall we move on to Black Clover?
Sure, let's move on to Black Clover. Is there anything worth mentioning here, or shall we move on to the next series?
Has anyone seen played the game? Not Paper Mario, Mario and Luigi Bowser's Inside Story.
Yes.
This reminded me a lot of that, where you have like a giant lizard monster having a big Godzilla fight with a giant house robot. And you know what? That's pretty neat.
And you know how I said that Black Clover is so frustrating because it occasionally has a good chapter? This is
Mhm.
one of those that makes it so frustrating when I see that it can be good, but just doesn't put the effort in most of the time.
Yeah, I find the
When we
chapter
talk about
fine.
teamwork in manga, this is one of the best examples when one provides the power up to the only one who can actually affect the enemy attack, and then makes it super effective so the last one of the team can do real damage. And all of them do it with established powers.
Mm.
Given
Yes,
that
it was-
we've established.
The only thing I think I don't like about this chapter is that Henry seems to be able to speak almost normally now, which kind of makes him a little less interesting to me.
I
I feel it's just frustrating when he talks slowly, so I don't mind.
It was an interesting quirk at least.
Sorry.
I'd like it better if maybe he tried to explain himself, but the G-Force, which I'm calling Gauche, Grey, and Gordon now, came to some conclusions about him on their own.
That would be a fun joke, yes. The bit I just didn't like about this chapter, I don't think I properly read this. I just skimmed and just like monster fight. The arc could be better, monster fight. Was the way that you guys was just like, and I'm a member of the Black Bulls too. Dramatic cloak put on. It's like, okay. I didn't know who the fuck Gordon was at the start of this arc. I still don't know what the fuck Gordon's about. And we just had a thing with Xerxes when he was just like, hey, I'm a member of the Black Bulls. It's like, cool, I guess you earned it for an entire arc. It's like, hey, guys, I'm here too. It's like, okay, so you cheapened Gordon's introduction. You cheapened Zerx putting on the cloak. Who the fuck are you? And why do I care about any of this?
He's Henry Kastor. Didn't you remember his name? He's Henry.
I could not be bothered to.
I don't know. I still find it hilarious how okay, we have fantastic European medieval setting. What's the name that we shall give this guy? Okay, Henry.
I mean, Henry is still like medieval-ish name. I mean, King Henry was.
There have been many King Henrys.
I know.
We've
but
had far too
several.
many of them.
I know, but it's just funny to me, since it's such a normal name.
A lot of the people here do have very modern names, like modern Western names, and just like, sure, I guess.
Rebecca will never be an important character.
Oh fuck! No doubt.
Fuck Rebecca in both series that have characters called Rebecca.
My other complaint is that for being a shapeshifter, outside of that, Grey has just one silly face now, and she never changes it.
Yeah, true.
For some reason, I'm kind of. I mean, what's this face supposed to reflect?
Are we complaining that the art in Black Clover is bad? As if this is something new.
I mean, it's usually just you who complains that art in Black Clover
Okay,
is
fair
bad.
enough.
I usually like the facial expressions fine, but for some reason, just Greil constantly having that weird M mouth. Kind of, I don't even know how to make it with my face.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, she hasn't been in her true form that long in the manga, so it doesn't bother me.
Well,
But yeah, that mouth is weird when I look at it now. Like, focus on it.
like, what emotion is that supposed to convey? I mean,
Embarrassment.
Cute anime girl emotion.
Otherwise, I like the teamwork and the fight itself is pretty logical. So yeah, fine chapter. Shall we move on to the Promised Neverland?
The
Hang
Promised
on.
Neverland.
Chapter 71. I found the chapter good. How about you?
Me too. I rather liked it.
Same.
Yeah, I'm still getting back into it, but it was okay.
So, I admit that the Promised Neverland is getting interesting again, but God, these cliffhangers are such an annoying writing style. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
interested, but
We've
I'm
had those
annoyed at the same
Oh,
time.
hello, welcome. You must be new to shonen manga. Please have a
No,
seat. I'll introduce
you must be
to
new to the
wonders of
Promised
One Piece.
Neverland. We'd known since the start that it will do cliffhangers for the sake of cliffhangers and then instantly resolve them at the start of the next chapter.
Yeah. What's that? Oh, okay. It was just a gust of wind. Look, it's an elevator. I mean, a lift.
Oh
A
my
lift, not an elevator. A lift.
Yeah. Oh my god, Ray was in that burning building half an hour ago.
Oh my god, they're gonna send off Norman!
Oh my God!
Actually-
It's a phone.
Yeah.
Yeah, and speaking of things not being built up, so should we even theorize about who's on the phone? Because we have no
It
reason
could
to
be
know.
literally anyone.
Yeah, again, having read next week's stuff, I know, but, well, no spoilers.
Yeah,
Yeah, I haven't seen it yet. It looks interesting, but honestly it could be anyone, or it could be somebody we haven't met yet. There's honestly no way we could guess.
Also, this chapter does really well building up the atmosphere and tension of this place. Like, it's really not something you would see in any other series, I'd say.
yeah. I
Kind of
like the fantastic geographical element of the golden non-water. I guess it seems like something like we could do as a setting on the forum back in the day.
Yeah.
Also-
I've been trying to figure out what the hell it is for a while now.
Yeah.
Ever the
Also, they do-
scientist.
They also do think that maybe this place, Goalie Pond, the village there, didn't used to be a hunting ground, but was turned into one. Like, it was probably just a safe place for the people first, but the demons found it and figured, we can use this.
Yeah.
Possibly.
Which is kind of dark in that maybe Minerva's plans to help kids is so old that it's become adapted by the demons.
Yeah, I mean, we've never really gotten any confirmation on how old or if he's dead William Minerva is. How long has this plan been going on?
The only hint that we might have that it's recent is that the buildings in Goldie Pond itself are look pretty renovated, to me at least.
Yeah, but that could also be the work of the demons.
Yeah,
And
I don't know whether they would actually bother to do that. Well, maybe to convey the natural environment in the LARPing venture of real actual hunting humans. But yeah,
it's also been here for as long as Lucas has been here. So about at least 10 years.
Yeah, but then again, 10 years doesn't really seem all that long.
Yeah, true.
Yeah,
But-
especially when you consider the scale of how long ago it was that the promise between humans and monsters started.
Which is true. And we also saw somebody that was at least implied to be Minerva was the mediator in those talks.
I also believe right now that the authors must have monitor fetish because I'm convinced now it's not just Billy Bob. Last time we had a base underground, we have look, it's the monitors. Maybe they're supposed to monitor the other farms. Oh look, here are monitors. Maybe they're supposed to monitor the entirety of Goldie Pond.
It's quite a good technique for giving an unsettling impression. Just like, here's a room that literally shows you can never hide. It's a disquieting image.
Yeah, but then again, this place is not accessible to the demons. So
I think it might be. I think that's what the monetization implies.
The other one
yeah, but
wasn't
then
as well.
again, you need a pen to get inside, and I think with how this place is still running, it's pretty safe to bet that the demons have not found the pens. Otherwise, they would already be checking this place from the farms.
By the way,
Um,
so why did Lucas exactly need the pen? Because this looked like an ordinary wooden door. Why didn't anyone try to ram it with anything?
Apparently, it magically opened when they approached with a pen. Also, it might not be the only way into this place. I'm pretty sure if people dug through the ceiling, they would. I'm amazed Lucas didn't dig through the side of the wall, to be honest.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not sure, but it looks like there's brickwork in there. Plus, he might fear that if he tries to dig through, it'll collapse the whole tunnel.
The dude's had 10 years. He can. Yeah, the dude's had 10 years. He can shore up the tunnel and make a proper mining venture.
Yeah, assuming this isn't just like stone walls, like possible. I mean, it's hard to tell in black and white.
Hey, even if it's stone walls, the dude's had 10 years.
Yeah, and does he have the tools for it?
He has 10 years. He can make the tools for it.
I mean, they have guns.
They have, yeah. A pickaxe is not a difficult tool to make.
Yeah, and where do you think the lift is going to take them? It's basically
I have
the
no
same thing
idea.
as the phone.
Well, where would it take them since it doesn't work?
I've got a feeling the lift is going to be another thing, and we're going to come back to it later. Another problem. It's going to be one of those ones that, we need to find Goldie Pond. We found Goldie Pond. So now we need to find a way to make this lift work. It's just a way to keep the tension high. We've solved one problem only to be confronted by another.
Yeah, I see that.
Yeah. So overall, good chapters, but with a few problems, I would say.
So next up
Is
would
We
be-
Neverland, chapter 47.
Crap, right, that was in between there.
This chapter was pretty much, hey, if anyone deserves to be the protagonist, probably this guy, the chapter.
Yeah. It was a good joke of, hey, remember in all the horror manga, we have the jealous guys who are the audience surrogates be put in their place. Do you want to have some decent jokes in this one?
Yeah, I found the chapter good, although yeah, it's pretty much a recap for the premise of the series with some pretty fun gags. So yeah, I guess we need those every once in a while.
As well as that one older girl just being there to deadpan all their stuff.
Yeah,
I especially love it when she's just going like, the guys are going, we must kill him, this is our rage, and she's just, what should I eat today? I gotta get from that diner.
Although
That is a
I
great
find
line.
it amusing that Legal Lolly judges the three randos for spying on Yuiga, saying they must have no life, basically while spying on them in turn.
Well, I
think
mean,
it's more
she's
that she-
actually studying while doing it. Those
Yeah.
guys are just sitting there, don't have books or notes out or anything.
Yeah.
Not
The
to
impression
mention, she even comes back in the evening or stayed late, and then sees that you guys are still here, just hanging out in the hallway.
Yeah.
So are you?
The impression I got is that she's trying to study and they're close enough to be annoying her.
Yeah, although she does bump into them a lot. So, also, is it just me, or does we were just playing this game where we had to pretend to be siblings sound even more suspicious than we were at a hotel?
It does sound creepy. It also sounds Japanese.
With horror manga, I've just learned not to think about it too hard. And by too hard, I mean not at all. I just accept it without any thought, like, yeah, sure, that would happen. Because otherwise, I will say that about every single chapter.
I'm just wondering, what was Firmino thinking? This makes it better instantly. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I think my favourite thing is that the other two are innocent enough to be like, "Oh, that's amazing!" Like, wow, that's messed up. I just like how Yuiga's in the middle of doesn't quite realize the girls are passive aggressively fighting, and it's like, why are you all being dicks to me? I don't get this. Okay, I'll call you by your names. Are you happy now? Am I allowed to? Okay, you're happy. Can we stop this now?
I mean, what does Ogata say that she'll call Yuiga in the official translation? In mine, it's closet son. And excuse me, Ogata, it should be wardrobe son.
No, here it's perv dog.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Because at some point he hid in the cupboard. I think.
No, perv dog here. Like this is like in the official translation, it's probably just a reference to like how she thought he was a real horn dog when she thought he was talking about her tits when he was actually talking about results.
This makes far more sense because I was thinking, wasn't he in the cupboard with the other girl? I was just like, how does she know about this?
All right then.
Yeah, I just thought it was some reference to some earlier chapter that I've forgotten.
Honestly, same. But no, that makes sense.
Yeah.
And yeah, when we end with a bit of a thing of like, legal lolly girl is like, oh, she's actually in her own way warmed up to him as well.
So is
Just like I've warmed up to her.
Yeah, she's fun.
Yeah, she is especially in the end when she's just teasing Yuiga, like, you see that she just enjoys that way too much because of how easy Yuiga is.
Yeah.
Yeah, but,
He's just such an easy target.
What you want me to call you by your given name as well? Wait, were you spying on me too?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, shall we move on to Dr. Incest?
Dr. Incest.
Oh, yes.
Dr.
Incest. Yeah.
This was both a great and a very weird chapter.
Incest. I found the chapter
Possibly.
Incest. Incest.
They either need to find a lot of people magically who didn't get turned to stone, or apparently three couples restarted the human race.
Incest.
Or maybe one of them managed to figure out the unstoning formula but just couldn't pass it on for some reason.
There has to be a really contrived way for this village to not be like interrelated to the nth degree.
Incest.
Just do it like rabbits, I guess.
Well, that doesn't solve the problem. You still have a gene pool.
I didn't say it solved the problem. I was just like, just live with it. We don't have a choice.
All our kids have 6 fingers and don't know which way is up. Okay.
I mean,
no wonder they're all immune to science. They must have IQs about 7.
Incest.
That would actually be because that was actually what I'm wondering. Like, what is the in between you have these scientifically well-versed, astronauts. How does that go to a very primitive village?
I mean,
like,
it's been like 3,000 years. I'm guessing with no paper and such, the passing of knowledge just kind of wanes over years.
Also, incest. All those geniuses just became really, really daft thanks to incest.
I don't think that's the reason, because I don't think they're going to
stop saying incest all the time.
I mean, yeah, but this is interesting. If the stone cataclysm was there to help heal humanity as the titular Dr. Stone, as Taiju suggested, then the descendants of the space crew will likely have some sort of a genetic flaw left over from 2017. Well, apart from all the inbreeding. Incest.
Oh, for God's sake.
No,
from now on, every time you say anything reference to that, I'm just going to yell.
Okay.
It's an interesting theory, but I think it's just Taiju's theory, especially with what we saw in that apparently whatever caused this was an explosion on the scale of about 1,000 nuclear bombs. Because
Well,
we
I mean-
see the curvature of the Earth, and we see this thing break it.
Yeah, except that this really doesn't seem like it's just like an explosion of kinetic energy. Because when it starts spreading, it looks more like northern lights going over the Earth.
Mhm. It does look like a small sun.
Yeah, at first, when the like
Yeah.
the,
So I don't know what this means, because it's also implied earlier that before the explosion happens, the petrification of the swallows was already happening. So what? Either I. This is where I might have to bite the bullet and be like, okay, they did magic science and everyone got turned to stone, because I don't know what the fuck happened here.
I mean, how else would you explain everyone turns to stone if not magic science?
I've had fun this week trying, but I'm pretty much going to say there was a
I mean,
nuclear bomb.
how did you explain
So-
that at any point, since we saw that it affected the whole Earth?
I
That's
have
the whole premise of the series, that everyone turned to stone, yo.
I have a minor complaint with this chapter, which is like when we're first introduced to Lillian, she's doing her whole diva thing, and it seems like we're finally going to get a female character with a slightly different looking face. Like she kind of looks like she kind of looks like one of the androids from Dragon Ball in that first panel, except with bigger tits. And then she just kind of when like she stops putting on the facade, she just goes into the same doe-eyed doll face that every other girl has.
Yeah.
It's a shame.
The
Well, I mean-
spaceship is weird because, first of all, she would not be allowed that hair in space. Do you know how much her hair would tangle up key stuff just floating around? Also, boobs don't hang like that in zero gravity. It's really weird, all the positions they put her in for the sake of hit. We're in zero gravity. I can show boobs and butt in the same shot. Watch. Her spine isn't broken.
So one panel I do love is that after that one guy tastes ramen, the next panel seems to be a reaction, but it's kind of misdirection that he's actually looking at the the energy thing explosion, whatever that is that caused the stone turning.
Which is a nice touch.
Yeah, and also nice little moment to show what kind of relationship Byakuya had with Senku, since he's talking about visiting the shop always with his son.
Yeah.
Also,
Thing is-
a good characterization piece for all the for most of the members of the expedition, because yeah, we are probably not gonna see them much more, but it would feel a little weird if all of Byakuya's tale never consisted of describing his crewmates, basically.
Now, question. Do we reckon they paired up with 3 pairs, or massive polygamy to get the biggest gene pool? Hey, I'm not technically talking about incest
Yes, you
yet.
are.
I had
Not for 3 generations.
Ah!
I mean, didn't the New Stone Age skip to? Okay, so now we are kind of 300 years, 3,000 years in the future, right?
Well,
think so.
3,700, if I recall correctly.
Okay,
Yeah, something like that.
so there must have been a lot of generations, and to our knowledge, the only village we have, the only human village we have right now is that of the Ishigami village.
Yeah, but then again, our knowledge is rather limited, since they
Hang
really
on.
don't have the means to travel a lot.
So, if
to
there is
mention,
the Ishigami village, are there 5 other villages named after?
So do you reckon there are gonna be there are gonna be maybe 6 villages each named after one crewmate, however that
Possibly.
would work?
And for that end, I was going to mention that, remember just before we first met Kohaku, well, when they had the signal fire, they saw 3 other fires.
Oh.
We saw that one was Kohaku's, but we never found out who the other 2 were from.
I thought the 3 signal fires were Kohaku's, so because they were signal fires, they were in
Yeah,
a
but
they were in a
We're
line.
well apart from one another. Why would Kohaku
Yeah.
have 3 of them?
because you make a line, you show that this is an intentional line of fires.
Yeah, except I don't think they were in a straight line. I'm gonna go back and check.
I think I very much got the impression that they were 3 fires because there were Senku set off 3 explosions from the top of the volcano to signal their presence and got 3 signal fires in return to show understanding.
Yeah, but that would make sense that we're getting to know all these people, if each of them are going to represent one village.
True, but I would also imagine that each village would be very far away because this village doesn't know that any of the humans exist apart from people who have been kicked out of the village in the past.
Huh. Going back to that, seems there was only one signal fire, so my memory was just playing tricks on me.
Huh. I remember 3 in that scene as well. Interesting.
Yeah,
That's odd.
maybe
Is
you're
this some
looking at the wrong
Mandela
panel.
effect shit here?
Maybe you're looking at the wrong panel, or I don't know. Maybe we all have collective amnesia right now.
I've just been
I am looking
enjoying.
at the panel with all the pages nearby, and there is clearly only one smoke signal.
Yeah, fair enough. Right. What's up next?
Okay, so I was gonna mention just that maybe the incest. Get it out of your system.
Ah!
Okay, thank you.
Is Wincest.
Ah!
Hey, if it worked, if it did restart the human race by not going into genetics within this series, it definitely.
I mean,
I really want to
I
know
will
how
say
they address this.
that
Do they just
possibly.
think,
I will say that possibly the result of the limited gene pool might be the fact that we only have one kid right now in this village. Just
It has
Suika,
been
as far as I can
3,000
remember.
years. That problem would have come up far before now.
Yeah, this is also true. So
I'm
I
pretty sure there are at
I
least
think
2 kids.
they must have
Yeah.
had access to the regeneration to the depetrifying formula earlier.
There's going to be an explanation. The one in my head I've been thinking of is just like they might argue that as the 6 astronauts were taken from all from different countries, that between them they have a reasonably wide gene pool for 6 people, but not one that can span 3,000 years.
Yeah.
I'm either going to be that over time people have been depetrifying naturally, like Senku did, and been adding to this, or we're not going to mention it, and these 6 people repopulated the Earth.
Yeah, fair.
Well, I think we can just give it a few chapters to show how it happened.
Yeah.
Well,
All
so
of which is banned.
Also, there is something very sad that happens at the end. They announced that for the next week, Dr. Stone's on break.
I
I know
thought
it breaks all our hearts.
But
so-
it's alright because One Piece and Hunter are back! Yay!
Yay for one! Who cares about the other?
Okay, taking up bets.
retarded!
Taking all bets. How many chapters before hiatus? I'm
Half
betting
of it.
4.
It's going to get through half the chapter and it's going to be white pages.
Castor, I've been watching Yu Yu Hakusho, and you know what? I'm really enjoying it.
It's okay. It's not. I'll admit it's an okay series. I might have been talking to people who had rose-tinted goggles, but it's an okay series.
I just think it's quite an enjoyable. I like it for how 90s it is.
That I will give you. But yeah.
So speaking of people getting run over by cars, shall we move on to Robot X Laserbeam OTP?
What?
Oh, you still read that?
Yeah, I thought
All right,
that-
you can give your
Sure.
thoughts.
Yeah, I thought this chapter was okay actually. I'm able to get into this match more and more. I think why it works for me is that Robo is working with the limits of his style again. He's relying on his accuracy instead of going, this style looks interesting, I think I'm going to copy it immediately, completely undermining my opponent's power. So he's sticking to what he knows so far. To what's
Has there been
established.
another time skip?
We're still waiting for that. Yeah.
Is Robo currently 60 years old and training his child? If not, I'm not interested.
Oh god. Also, this chapter introduces Ginro. No, not our lovable sleazebag from Dr. Stone, just another
That'll be an
spiky-haired pretty
interesting
boy,
series.
who I, of course, will have no trouble telling apart from all the other spiky-haired pretty boys. That's my one complaint about this, but otherwise I like this chapter. I like that this match has some actual tension since he has to hold back on his special move, his X-Laser. So yeah, okay. Shall we now discuss the last week's jumpstart, Bozebeats Chapter 2?
So yeah, I've generally been a bit middling on Bozebeats, but I like that this chapter had a JoJo's stand encounter in it. Has anyone else read this?
I have not.
I did. I found this chapter okay. It was a pretty standard shonen chapter that kind of makes me think of a cross between Rave Master and Blue Exorcist. The manga has kind of a simplicity that's part of its charm, I guess, but and I probably would like it more if I were younger, but as I am now, it's just not for me. It's a good shonen manga, the premise is cool, the characters are likable, I just don't find them all that interesting, and everything's just too simple for me, with no hint
Yeah,
of
I'm the same way. I'm the same way. It's very kind of been here, done that.
Yeah. It doesn't really have a hint of a bigger world around the main characters.
But just like, although I will just say, it's like being on a plane and having it so that a monster comes out of a guy's head and like, we need to deal with this while we're like in a tight space. It's so JoJo's.
Yeah, it's
Like it's like something out of Stardust Crusaders or like Vento Oreo.
It's only like Stardust Crusaders if the next transport they get on also gets destroyed, and so does the one after that, and the one after that. That was my favourite part of that series. It's like the so in-universe realization is what the fuck's happening to our transport.
we should not be spending money on planes right now. Seriously.
Yeah.
Oh god. Yeah, I could see people liking this manga, but I don't think I won't. I don't think I'll bother reading on unless we all decide to add it to the reviews.
I mean, like, I'll keep up with it for the jumpstart, and past that, if the next chapter doesn't grab me, I'll just stop, like I did with Robot X Laserbeam.
Yeah.
Fair enough. If I have time, I might check it out.
So, shall we move on to, has anyone read the new Jumpstart Act Age?
I heard about it and decided not to.
Okay, so
Why did
I
you
think
decide
the
that?
floor is
I mean,
yours,
what the
Milo.
premise?
Beg pardon, I'm sorry about that. Got a bit distracted with something else. So yeah, Act Age. I really hated this.
Oh.
I've dabbled a little in acting before, and so the idea of like kind of a Bakuman-esque insight into an acting profession sounds like a really cool idea for me. But this manga clearly doesn't have any sense of how acting works, and the delivery of the dialogue is so ham-fisted and obvious. Like, it's really show don't tell about how it goes about it. It's like, you know, she goes home and her kids are like, oh, it's a shame you didn't get that job because we're poor and we need the money.
Feel bad for us.
Exposition,
Wow.
exposition.
And like, it's this whole thing of like, oh my god, she's a method actor. So like, she like recalls moments in her life when she was feeling happy and does a really convincing happy performance, and like sad moments when she does a sad performance. And they're like, and they treat this like it's like some kind of superhuman ability.
Yeah,
No,
it's
they-
called acting.
And like the reason that they don't take her on the first time is like, it's a terrifying skill. What if she has an emotional breakdown or something? I'm like, no, like they never think about this sort of stuff.
Oh no,
They
they
never even
would.
consider it.
If she was doing proper method acting, they would. This is the problem. The acting she's doing is normal acting. What they're trying to treat it as is proper method acting, which is fucking insane. It's the acting that makes Jackie Chan do his own stunts at the age of 60 or 70,
Well,
and do
yeah,
ones where he falls from a
being able
three-story
to
building
cry,
without a... Yeah.
like being able to cry on cue isn't method acting. It's just regular acting.
If you can't cry on cue, you are not an actor.
And like, oh, just the whole thing of like the girl who originally got the part decided to step down because she was like watching her in an audition made it clear that I'll never be the real thing. She's just too good. Like,
That's not an actress. She would laugh in the face of the person who's better than the part.
This was really this was disappointing. I really wanted to like this just because the premise sounded like it could be cool, and it just let me down.
Yeah.
The artist, I don't think the mangaka has met actors before.
It seems like it seems like something I would be interesting in if I would be interested in if it was written well. So since acting has been part of my life for a long time, but yeah.
Oh, if you like the idea and want it done better, here's to the audience as well. Read Skip Beat.
All right then. Sounds interesting.
I get Skip Beat and Skep Dance mixed up a lot.
Skip Beat is the shoujo romance about the actress that actually does acting properly.
Okay.
And Skep Dance is a manga about the club that helps people, I guess, from the manga of Astro Lost in Space.
The comedy manga that goes really fucking dark at weird moments.
Which I still want to read sometimes, so no spoilers.
Yeah, I want to read it as well because I liked Astro Lost in Space.
So, that is going to do it for this week of Stammer Stream, I guess.
No, wait, we're not going to talk about Boruto?
Oh, there's a chapter of Boruto?
We have to talk about Boruto. The most devastating character there since Jiraiya happened in it. What was his
Random
guy died.
Oh,
guy we didn't know existed until this chapter, and then died.
Mr. Expendable.
And then Naruto's gonna fight the bad guy with the power glove and the lightsaber.
What the fuck happened? This is
Boruto. I mean,
did somebody just like, hey, we liked your series about lightsaber fights, but we don't think it's ready for the magazine at the moment. Would you like to draw the sequel to Naruto? The sequel to Naruto. You can base it on this movie, and the guy is just like has like a deep-seated hatred of both Kishimoto and the writers of the Boruto movie. Because everything happens, he retcons everything, changes everything, doesn't know how any characters work, and continuously just like, I'm writing my series, and I guess I have to give the main character spiky yellow hair.
Yep.
I mean, you know that in the original one-shot, Naruto was supposed to be in a steampunkish like setting, right?
Yeah, and that was gotten rid of for good reasons. It was not good. Also, I have a real problem with the way that Al's the bad guy. Because remember at the start, he was introduced first as like, hey, ninja tools can save people, and Boruto was just like, no, fuck that crippled guy. This puppy, oh my god, ninja tools are amazing. And it's just like, hang on, so are we having, I think the conclusion we're reaching is that ninja tools aren't necessarily bad, despite the fact our villain is destroying everything because of ninja tools. I haven't yet to see the example of a ninja tool being good that didn't also lead to this guy still being able to kill everybody.
But don't you get it, Kastor? Guns don't kill people. People kill people.
No,
with
ninjas
incest.
kill people. Hang on.
No, they don't kill people. I do.
I don't. Also, at the end, the speech I hate. They do the manga speech, just like, we're dissenting opinion, is what you were thinking, wasn't it? No, no, Boruto. You were thinking that and tried to blame me.
I didn't hear the
Also-
last part of the sentence.
Oh, it's just the bit where
Oh yeah, maybe scientific tools shouldn't have been invented to begin with. That better not be what you're thinking.
it's.
It is a
and
bit of a
even-
trope.
My problem with it is that even Konohama was just like, yes, Boruto is so wise for his age. Whereas when Naruto did this, everyone was just like, yes, then Kakashi would point out it was like, well spoken, but you're wrong for these 3 reasons and shut the fuck up. This is the problem in that Boruto has not earned main character status yet. He has inherited it, and it feels as entitled as it sounds. He makes a man tear up and did not even have to get a bridge named after him to do it. This series relies so heavily, just like, hey, remember Naruto? Do you want it to be continued, but really not as good and only live on nostalgia about it?
Yeah. Oh god, I wonder how long people will keep buying this, because I know the first few volumes sold very well.
I mean, I'll admit that when it was that Rich Kid arc, I kind of liked this series because that one did work well. Boruto wasn't such an asshole as he was in the other 2 arcs.
Yeah. He actually earned the character development. He actually earned the character development in that.
Not to
And-
mention, the kid in there wasn't just the usual rich kid who's an asshole. He was actually pretty nice, all things considered.
Yeah, it was actually a good story.
The thing is, I'm gonna disagree with you a little bit. I'm
On what part?
on the ninja technology part, but because I actually kind of like the inclusion of this because, well, what did Boruto have that Naruto didn't have earlier? Because
Family.
so far we've been using the same Rasengan shit and so on and so forth. I don't think I would find a let's call it a ninja lightsaber, something really out of ordinary in Naruto, especially since we have already seen chakra pass through weapons in Sasuke's case. He had the
Yeah.
lining sword, didn't he?
But that's the thing, it's nothing new.
These kind of weapons would be kind of just iconic for Boruto and will be able to separate him from Boruto's dad, obviously. So in a way, I do like it, and I don't think that the premise of ninja in a modern world, in a modern-like world, is a premise
Oh god,
that's
do you know
completely
what? Okay, I just
out of
remembered something
touch.
that's really screwing with my head now because of this. I'm guessing he'll only be using it for this arc, or because there was that flash forward at the very beginning of the series where Naruto was dead, or implied to be dead, and there's this new rival who's trying to destroy the Leaf Village, and Boruto's all grown up and has a scar and a weird Byakugan thingy eye, and has like a regular sword.
Yeah. I think
Oh, I don't remember.
I try and pretend that chapter never happened because I honestly don't believe we're getting to. I honestly, this is going to get cancelled before we ever get close. But Cheddar,
No, I
the
don't
problem
think
is-
it will because it's carried enough by the popularity of Naruto that it won't get cancelled.
Maybe. Maybe. I don't know. But Cheddar, the thing is, what you said is true. But the problem is, Naruto has had laser swords for ages. It has also had robots and mechanical stuff. It did not need ninja technology. It already had puppets. It already had chakra swords. Introducing these as in, hey, look at this new innovation. It's like, hey, we took something. We're not adding anything to the series, but we're making it more boring. This character doesn't have a lightning sword because they're powerful enough to infuse their sword with lightning. They bought it from a shop. This character doesn't have an ability, his special ability where he can drain energy from people. He puts on gauntlets. It's
Doesn't
boring.
the chakra sword draw from the power of its user?
In which case, literally nothing has changed, and it's less impressive. My problem is that the introduction of ninja technology has not added to anything to this. They've made an argument out of nothing about it, and it's being treated as if the defining thing of Boruto, when all it's done is take things that already existed in Naruto and make it boring, which I think as a sentence is how I would review the entirety of Boruto.
I would have to think about it. But yeah. Anything else to mention about this chapter?
Mugino!
I am genuinely curious to see how this show's popularity in Japan pans out as a result of how it's going.
From what I hear, the anime is much better written than the manga. So
it is, yeah. Although even that has moments where I'm like,
Yeah.
Alright then. So, that is going to do it for this week of Stammer Stream. Thank you for watching, either on my YouTube channel or live at twitch.tv/Wensleydale Cheddar. We usually try to record on Saturdays at 10 AM Eastern Standard Time, 3 PM GMT, and 4 PM GMT+1. Although every a few weeks, like now, we may move to some other day of the week to let Greil in on the action. You can follow me on Twitter at WensleyCheddar for updates on the stream on Panganta, friendly faces everywhere, Well Triggered, hashtag Race, Pokemon Journey featuring our very own Dr. Nova, and many, many other projects. Follow Milo and HovinwithanH for... Yeah?
Yep. No, you keep going.
Okay. For anime waifus, Cabal Hijinks, Cabalcast, which is definitely coming, guys, and Trial by Guilty Crown, a podcast he does with Kastor. You can find it on...
Also, we've released something new to my channel, a little gem called Fairy Tale Drunken Cry.
Oh, right.
Where we play a drinking game with the second Fairy Tale movie, Fairy Tale Dragon Cry. And you can get such lovely excerpts as, I don't know what anyone's motivation in this movie was besides not being raped.
From
God,
Kastor.
That
really
is unfortunately quite an review of the movie.
Or then an excerpt from me, which is, Kanna's pretty hot, TBH.
Yeah, to explain, Wensleydale and Hovin played a drinking game. I unfortunately could not. So at the end, I'm trying to figure out if it technically is all happening in a character's head, while they're trying to figure out what the pretty colours on the screen they're seeing are.
Yeah, once again, there was a lot of shouting, Blue!
Blue!
I also think that at that point I mentioned that oh yeah, Usopp is best girl, definitely.
No, it was, I said Hanakawa is best girl, and you said yes, besides Usopp.
Okay, yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that happened.
Yeah, go watch that. It's not a bad way to watch the to watch the
Fairy Tale movie.
It's probably not worth watching by itself.
Yeah, I haven't watched it yet. I've been recently catching up on
You just
Trial by
can't
Guilty
remember
Crown,
it.
where I found such gems as I don't know what the point of the incest was in this subplot.
There is such weird. Oh, there is such weird shit in Guilty Crown.
Oh god, yeah, and you can.
I'm no more Mr. Nice Guy. I'm gonna be that this place deserves, not the one it needs.
I'm gonna be Batman.
Yeah.
Shoot, we don't need to be Batman. I'm gonna be Batman. We need to be Lelouch. I'm going to be Batman.
Also,
Just like, the city is in lockdown and people are getting shot. Shall we go to school? Yeah, better. Might as well.
Well, I mean, you've seen Seraph of the End, right? If there's one universal
Seraph
truth
of the
in
End.
anime, it's that through every single catastrophe, what survives is a fucking high school.
Oh, okay.
Also- Also follow Greil9 at Nuclear Android for gaming tweets and complaints about his job. And
Hey, I haven't
occasionally...
complained about my job in ages.
Oh, yeah. You did. You used to occasionally. I don't know.
Yeah, except that I got a new job.
Okay,
With
so
less complaining.
follow him
Yay!
for random shit and the Danganronpa podcast, which you also can find on YouTube in the description below. A sincere thanks to our recent subs on YouTube. It's thanks to you that we may one day catch up to our eternal rivals, the manga mavericks. Do please check out their
Holy
show.
shit, we have subs? Holy shit, we have subs?
Yeah, we do actually.
I mean, great.
Yeah,
I did not know that.
I think we had 3 last week. Not sure how many this week. Do please check out the Manga Mavericks. It's on YouTube in actually short, consumable chunks, unlike us. And send our message to them in the comments. Guys, what should our message be this week?
Stay in
Don't-
school, kids.
Don't restart the planet with only 6 people?
Ah!
Blue!
Fair enough. Those 3 things.
We'll
right
go
then.
with those.
Stay in school, incest, and blue.
Ah!
Alright then, once again, cheers for watching, and we will see you next week. Take care. Incest.
Ah!